45 militant provocations have been recorded in the Donbas conflict zone over the past day. According to Ukraine's ATO headquarters report, as of December the 7th, 6 Ukrainian soldiers were wounded. Russian proxies applied mortars, grenade launchers and large-caliber machine guns to attack Avdiivka and Svitlodarsk Arc. Enemy sniper was firing in the direction of Luhansk village. Under fire, the suburbs of Mariupol, where Shrokine, Chermolik, Mar'inka, Krasnohorivka and Talakivka were most affected. Militants used grenade launchers, armored personal vehicle weapons and small arms for shelling Novotroitske, Starognativka and Gnutove. In the Luhansk area, separatist forces fired 120mm mortars, grenade launchers and anti-aircraft mounts into Krymske, Novozvanivka and Stanitsa Luhanska. Militants have also shelled the checkpoint at Mar'inka with automatic grenade launchers. Nearby the village of Luhansk in Donbas, the celebrations for the Day of Ukraine's Armed Forces started early yesterday. Russian-backed militants directed shells of different calibers into government-held territory. However, it wasn't an obstacle for Ukrainian fighters to ignore the holiday, celebrated it with music and good mood. The glorious 54th Brigade that has been defending Ukrainian positions at the Svitlodarsk Bulge for the past year decided to make a musical pause in the war. Once again, congratulations with the holiday, the Day of Ukraine's Armed Forces. 120mm shells everywhere here, 30 attacks into the precise location. In general, they fire different calibers. Donbas militants even started to congratulate us the day before the holiday. The sun sets earlier in winter, that's why shelling starts earlier too. Shelling started at around 3 a.m. and it was lasting for 2-3 hours. Trees are bare now and militants can easily see Ukrainian positions. Moreover, the area is full of small rivers. Thus, Ukrainian soldiers have a hard time to get to their positions. Not speaking about evacuation of wounded, the nearest road is 3 kilometers away. The area is advantageous for separatists. They can discreetly come and go from their positions. The soldier has been at war for 2 years. As soon as it started, he went to defend the motherland. His brigade fellow, Leonid, just recently signed a contract, but says he's already far from being a freshman. They are all of different ages, professions and personalities. The thing that unites them all is the aim to liberate Ukrainian territory from the foreign aggressor. The NATO-Ukraine Commission has started its work in Brussels today. Foreign ministers from Ukraine and the alliance's member states are discussing the security situation in Ukraine and progress in conducting reforms in the country. According to NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, the delegates will raise a matter of the organization's measures in supporting Ukraine which were approved at the Warsaw Summit 5 months ago. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Pavlo Klinkin will talk about the security situation in the light of the Minsk deals and efforts to combat cyber attacks.
We will also discuss the security situation, which remains serious and which hinders progress toward a political settlement to the conflict. NATO allies continue to support Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and we support reforms that are essential for a better future for the people of Ukraine.
Welcome to Ukraine Today. My name is Teresh Chechko. Today and right now I'm joined by Jaroslawa Johnson, president of Western NIS Enterprise Fund, to talk about local development in Ukraine and in particular about the International Mayors Congress, which is held in Kyiv. Hello, Mrs. Johnson. It's a great pleasure to have you here, and thank you for finding time to join us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So let's start with the very point, with the very topic right now with the Congress. So why Kyiv was chosen the location for the Forum of Mayors? Maybe there could be some smaller city to show that cities around Ukraine, they also participate in conversations and in discussions. about urban development?
Our focus is on all Ukrainian cities, although we understand that the bigger cities have resources greater than the smaller cities. But our goal was to call attention to the importance of urban development, especially in a country that is trying to grow and to establish a new footprint, new frontiers. And so our mission was to make sure that it was held in the capital. The first Congress was held in the capital, which attracted everyone's attention. Other years, when this continues for the next subsequent years, we'll hold it in some of the other cities as well.
So the event is going to be annual.
We're hoping this. We think the event has been successful so far. We'll see what the results are at the end of today's conference. But if it works, we will try to do it again next year.
So what is the major aim of the Congress, which is held right now? What outcome we want to have right in the end of the event?
We are interested in giving Ukrainian mayors, smaller city mayors, the opportunity to exchange ideas and thoughts and learn from mayors from all over the city. We have several international mayors here from Canada, from Poland, from other countries, who will describe their own activities and how they made their cities more livable for their population, for their residents. And we think there's a lot to be learned from international experience. And so this is an opportunity for Ukrainian mayors to hear what was done, how it was done, and see if they can adapt and apply the same principles to the development of their urban areas.
If you talk about the activity of the fund, in particular the area of local development, so what major things have already been done or are planned to be done in the future?
Our first project was Prozoro. We funded Prozoro, as Ozimuk mentioned today. While technically it's a project on a national level, it impacts every city because public procurement was an area of corruption that was very well known and well established. And we felt it was important for cities and communities and Hermada to be able to control their budgets, and the best way of controlling their budgets is to make sure they get their money's worth for purchases, for services and contracts. And now that the program, Prozoro, has been adopted as a national standard, it means not only does the national government apply Prozoro in all its ministries, but urban areas are also applying Prozoro, and it means they have immediate savings from their budgets to operate.
The process of decentralization in Ukraine, is it taking the speed of really good, because it takes years actually to reform all this area, but at the current state, how do you think about that?
I think the decentralization is progressing as well as fast as it can progress. It takes communities, communities have to come together, and so it takes a group of communities to decide to have elections, and that process takes time. The fact that the Prime Minister said 184 Ramad have already been formed, and another 184 are ready to be formed, is a major accomplishment. Ukraine is a very big country. Most people don't realize how big it is, especially outside of Ukraine don't realize how big it is, and this is an important effort in making the decentralization work. It has to be done with support of the communities, and the communities have to decide who's going to lead them and how they're going to be formed.
So it's more about the movement from the local level, or actually it's both ways?
It's a two-way street, because obviously decentralization means that the national government has to give some powers to the local authorities, which they didn't have before, and the local authorities have to accept those powers, and of course there's budget that follows too. Monies go from the national government to the local government, and the local government has the ability to use those funds for the benefit of its residents, of the citizens.
And the final question, what do you, as the president of the fund, can recommend to make for the following years that should be made in the matter of urban development and local development in Ukraine?
We have half a dozen different programs for urban development. We have, in addition to Prozoro, we have programs that focus on urban planning, small improvements in cities. For example, helping develop parks, small parks that residents can do themselves. Not everything requires government involvement. A lot of things can be done by the citizens of the community. And we have a school of urban studies called Connections, and that school has developed projects in half a dozen Ukrainian cities, and these projects are pilot projects that act as models for other cities to copy. So if you go to Ivano-Frankivsk, you see what they've done in their urban development, how they've improved it. You go to Kramatorsk, go to other cities, and you see that the citizens can take action as well. It's not the government. Our mission is to show that urban, local economic development does not only occur from the government. It takes initiative of the citizens as well.
Mrs. Johnson, thank you for joining us right now, and I wish good luck to you, and I wish God good luck to our local authorities for mayors that are attending the event, and I hope that major forums are still ahead, and we're in the progress of making them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was my pleasure.
Jaroslawa Johnson, president of Western NIS Enterprise Fund, joined Ukraine today to talk about the International Mayors Congress and about urban development in Ukraine.
Well, certainly, Russia has been rattling the suburb for several years. It's been conducting military drills, it's been patrolling the airspace by their strategic air force. There were some violations of the territorial waters by the submarines, the nuclear submarines of Russian Federation. So Russia is escalating the situation, and certainly it's in their logic, in the logic of Putin, the logic of the conflict with Ukraine, we should expect something back. It possibly will be the symmetric answer. They can conduct the military drills, for example, in the same area of the Black Sea, where the main commercial trade routes from Ukraine to the outer world is lying. And possibly by doing this, they can cut our communications. And certainly they can do something of this kind, I mean the military drills or military tests towards Ukrainian territory from occupied Crimea. Or possibly there could be some subversion actions and some acts of sabotage in Ukrainian territory, and we cannot exclude the escalation on Donbass as well. For 3 years, Ukraine has been under the attack of the Russian Federation, and there is a war going on in Donbass, and we've got occupied Crimea. I'm talking not about the de facto status. I'm talking about the actual definition of the military aggression done by the General Assembly, and the Russian actions in Crimea and in Donbass are clearly an aggression. There were several international documents showing it. So it's not Ukraine that is escalating the situation, but it's Russian Federation who is waging the war against Ukraine, not just informational, cultural, economic one, but the hot war in general. And it's posing the grave danger to Ukraine itself by occupying this peninsula, by strengthening its military in the Transnistrian region that is a part of Moldova, but Russia illegally occupies the part of this territory, by beefing up military presence near the Ukrainian border with Russia, and by strengthening their grip over the Belarus. So Russia is trying to make a grip over Ukraine, to threaten it by military means, and to wage its so-called hybrid war. So it's a reaction, the natural reaction of Ukrainian military to improve their ability to defend our country and to show the willingness and ability to fire back if there is a full-scale invasion.
The revolution of dignity continues. Watch the birth of a new nation online at uatoday.tv.